such a historic day for these ladies, so I want you to give it up for as we welcome the singing and speaking voices of Huntrix. So please, huge round of applause, welcome to the stage, EJAE, Arden Cho. Kpop Demon Hunters. And you're spending the New Year with us tonight.
Happy New Year, guys.
So when I said this was a historic night, today was really a very special day because for the first time in Variety's 121-year history, we featured 6 Korean American women. And on the stage, you will all get a copy as you leave, I believe, or some of us. There's also online. But I want to go down this path and ask you, what does that mean? We've talked about it, but for you, this history and just the impact that this film has had on your lives, the lives of people in the audiences. Go ahead, EJAE.
I mean, that's the reason why I personally joined the film. Our directors Maggie King and Chris Applehans, when they first shout out geniuses. But when they told me about the story and just it being the first animated film based in Korea, I was like, yes, when? Any song you need, please. So I think that was just so important for me as a Korean American woman. And being, it's just such a historical thing to have, with these incredible women here. And yeah, I think growing up, I think a lot of us didn't experience, not a lot of people knowing Korea or where it is or what it is. So to have it be so loved by so many people, we're just so grateful.
I feel like I became an actor because of lack of representation, and it's been such a long journey, but I feel like the success of the movie has shown that everyone who worked on this movie, everyone who touched this project had, something similar in their life or their journey and poured so much love into it, and I feel like the success is a result of that, and I feel like it's so incredible to celebrate here with you guys. It's raining outside and a lot of you got wet. Thank you so much for being here.
Rain was not going to stop this crowd tonight.
We love Kpop!
Wow. I think today I'm thinking a lot about our grandmas, our moms, our great-grandmas, and just every person who has allowed for us to sit here today and, sit on the cover of Variety magazine. I think about the sacrifices that they had to make, the kind of honestly bullshit that they had to deal with in order for us to kind of live these lives of full expression and fully embrace all the parts of ourselves, which is what this genius film is so much about. So I just feel like, it's not just seeing a project succeed. I feel like this is the story of our lives and also just being on the end of a thread of history that goes back so long, and here we are in this present moment, and honestly I just feel so grateful and proud of each and every one of you guys, and also just anyone that this film represents, no matter where you come from. I think I'm just really proud.
Yes, yeah, everything Audrey said. I feel like as we go down the line, we're just kind of just but yeah, I definitely been thinking about my family a lot today. I mean, we did the shoot and I knew it was happening, but then actually seeing it, in our hands, it's completely different. And I just feel like we have now been blessed with this superpower where we just get to make people happy, children happy. That feels like a huge superpower. It's insane. I've never been more popular with children in my life. But yeah, I'm so thrilled. I still am kind of like pinch me about it. It'll probably land tomorrow.
Right. I mean, you guys have already really touched on every massive point. I would say it just reminds me, this entire process has reminded me time and time again to be proud of my heritage. I think all of us who grew up questioning or trying to hide parts of our culture or heritage, things that, either dishes that we love, enjoy, or shows or music that we listen to. I personally, growing up would hide parts of that, but just seeing how the world has embraced Kpop Demon Hunters to its entirety, and all of us individually, it's an incredible honor and it's so warming. And it just reminds me that there's so much to be proud about who I am as a Korean woman. Yes, I'm much more than that, but there's so much that goes into who I am, and a lot of it is Korean. So just reminding myself, wow, you should be so proud because you're so badass. Look at your mom, look at your aunties, look at your grandma. Look at what they raised you to be, and look at what you're doing. So, if anything, this should be a reminder to dream bigger. Look at the six of us came together via Maggie and Chris, and we've changed the world. So I think dream bigger. There is no ceiling. If you think there is, it's imaginary. Go break it.
I don't really want to follow that one, but I think a lot lately about the interconnectedness of the world, and I think about how this movie is so specific and so culturally specific, but I think that's what makes it so universal. I think it's really magical that hundreds of people across, at the very least, 2 continents, several time zones, multiple languages, all came together to make this piece of art that's really transcendent. And I think Kpop Demon Hunters as a movie is about all the things that we share with people on the opposite side of the world. And I think it's really beautiful and an honor to carry that with us for the rest of our lives.
Golden has now officially become 5 times platinum. Here first. 5 times platinum.
I'm like so shocked. Oh my goodness, guys. Wow, thank you for telling us.
It's everybody here streaming it. Just
Wow, thank you guys.
Wow, that's amazing. Sorry, I was like speechless.
Congratulations to you all. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, Golden is such a tune, and I want to go back to what Ray and you've all sort of touched on is this the global diaspora of this film. Like, it is not just touch people here; it is across the world. And then you hear like the 5 million streams across the world. Like when you hear that, and you hear like that intro, like the winning the Golden Globe, winning the Critics' Choice, being nominated for Oscars. Like, what does that all mean to you as far as, I guess the impact of it? Go.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh. I think it means that, what the movie was trying to say, people were listening, people are listening. I think it's, I think what the movie provided and the music is something I feel like the world needed right now, whether it be about, love, loving all parts of yourself, leaning on your loved ones, and also just unifying culture, I think regardless of whether it's in Korea or it being an animated film, what makes it incredible is that it's very human. I
think it's an emotion, you know, that everyone feels, you know. So even the song Golden, it's a very, you know, it's a song about hope. And, you know, I think a lot of people are wanting that right now. So probably maybe that's a very healing, it's very healing, I feel like that's what people need. So maybe that's why it's kind of what everyone's loving it.
Gio, I want to come down to you, Gio, because when we talked about it, like, you know, what did it mean to get a script that really centers on Korean folklore at the heart of its narrative? Like, talk about getting.
I think it's just exciting. I think there's so many avenues of storytelling we have yet to explore, and this is just the beginning of it. And it's been such a pleasure to see all the animators and Maggie and Chris and the screenwriters and everyone else who's behind the camera talk about developing the story and the details that went into it. Like, I heard from the music team that there were like chords that people were resonating with for specific characters, and all of the attention to detail feeds into this larger thing of historical importance and like the spiritual connectedness I feel with this movie and Sinners, of like the power, thank you, the power of music reaching through time and space, and like the power of your ancestors to fight mythological creatures, I think is incredible and moving and striking when you watch it on screen. It's so cinematic.
I love that comparison. Sinners is also, we also feature Audrey and
She's the first Asian American woman nominated for an Oscar that
That is
year.
correct, yeah. May I talk about you, what was it like for you to get the script and see Korean folklore at the heart of this?
I just couldn't believe that it was going to exist. I feel like we've seen every iteration of every other culture sort of, you know, I mean, honestly, as a kid, like Arden has said too, it's like we grew up watching Mulan, and it's like, that's kind of, we're like grasping for that. We're just like, oh, we have Mulan, even if it's like not my culture, but it's close enough or something. It's like constantly settling for that, and then the fact that this can exist, it really is so retroactively healing, and for all of us to be able to sort of like hug our child selves right now and be like, it's gonna be okay, and like now our kids get to grow up with that and be proud of that. It's still so surreal, and I've probably seen it 8 times, and I wish I wasn't doing stuff backstage so I could have watched it with you guys. Because I want to see it again. It's so cool. So I'm as much of a fan of all of it, and like, yeah, just the historical, just all the folklore and all of that being woven into the story and not necessarily explained. It's just like, this is just how it is. I think that is the coolest part of it, is we're just showing and not explaining. And I think just people absorb it and accept it.
And Arden, you've been in this industry a long time, we've talked about it. For you, what was it like getting the script and seeing Korean culture be celebrated in this way?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off what May said, you know, as a kid, we would wear a hanbok for Halloween because that was what we had. And so many people would be like, what is that? They've never seen it before. Now in Kpop Demon Hunters, people are like, oh, I know what that is. And I feel like I can't believe I got to be a part of that. But I think, you know, seeing this script, yes, it's culturally specific, yes, it's Korean, yes, it's all the things we love about Korean culture, but it's also just a fantastic story. It's a really incredible story. The script is just so moving. I feel like Maggie and Chris created this magical world, and our artists and animators just really nailed it. And I think that is just really something special that happens like once in a lifetime, and we get to be a part of it. And I feel like there are, you know, thousands of people that worked on this movie, and I'm always amazed by what I see. I feel like because of the success, we get to see more and more like the art book. Oh, I love the art book. I love hearing from the artists and more from, you know, Maggie and Chris, because half the time in press, I'm like, I don't know that answer, I'm just an actor. I'm like, you gotta talk to Maggie and Chris, and I feel like that's so fun. You know, even getting to do something like this is so special, and to have the leads be 3 Korean American girls that are all of it. They're strong, they're cool, they're badass, they're beautiful, they're funny, but they're also silly girls. And I love that.
We love silly girls. We love being silly because that's who we are, right? Ray, I've got to ask you. You know, we know about EJ, you know, writing Golden. What was it like singing, or should I say, you know, rapping? What was like? Talk about your thoughts when you first heard and saw those lyrics.
For Golden specifically? Okay. Well, initially, that high note, the A5 that you hear EJ hit, I was supposed to sing that for the audition material, but I was just like, no. Sorry, out of my range, can't do it. And if I try, it's probably going to hurt my chances of getting this role. So I just said, sorry, can't do it, but here's everything else. And so, got the role, yay. Now I had to actually sing it, so I was like, what in the world? So actually, first day of recording, I walked in and EJ was hitting that A5 in the studio, and that's how I met her. And no, raw live vocals. I thought they were tuning it, they were fixing it. Nope, that was just her live. I was so shocked. So like, I was extremely intimidated because I like saw it in like the flesh of how it's supposed to sound. So I was like, okay, no pressure. This one line I have to say, it requires me to be like vulnerable kind of ish, like why did I have the colors inside my head? I don't know. But that was my job, I had to figure it out. So I had to dig deep and be like, why did you cover it up? And I was like, oh, that's why. And so then, you know, Ian Eisendrath, our executive music producer, he was phenomenal working with him back and forth, really channeling the emotion. And with voice singing and acting, it's a lot different because you are just a voice. The storyline's already there, the lines, the music is already there. Emphasizing certain notes, emphasizing certain lines or words and cutting it off, matching the timing of the girls, like Audrey and EJ also. That was difficult, it was very technical, very tedious, very emotional. I like often found myself crying in and out, like during my breaks, just because it pushed me a lot and also forced me to reflect internally about like, childhood trauma. She killed it.
For Golden specifically, right? As we all know, that is a very hard song to sing. Even if you're doing the alto harmonies, which is what I'm doing. And what I will say about this song is that I think it's defied so many expectations, even for myself, you know, hopping on this project and thinking, oh, I've never sung K-pop, or even a lot of, you know, pop, to be honest. I come from a very alternative background, and, you know, I like a lot of just, you know, different. It was different for me, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna try this thing, and I'm excited. And I was so humbled by this project in so many ways because I learned so much. I kind of thought like, I'm gonna step in and do this thing I've never done before, and then I'm gonna walk away, you know? But this song really changed my perspective on a lot of things. But even from a music standpoint, I think that at the time, especially when I recorded, a lot of the music that I was listening to just coming out all the time, I felt very disconnected to it. And I didn't really understand why. And I think looking back, I'm like, I think there's such a glorification of nonchalance sometimes, especially in the era that we're in right now, where we're all cool, everything's aesthetic, you know? Whatever that means to each person. And I think Golden is a song that you are putting yourself out there. If you're singing that song, if you are jamming to that song, if you love that song, you're connecting to a part of yourself that is so, in a way, vulnerable and in a way so pure. And I think it really just brought back this like naivete that sometimes being in the music industry for a long time takes away from you, which is like, wow, we can actually really yearn for something, hope for something, really actually, you know, bust ass trying to get the note right and do the take 70 times if you need to do it, because maybe you're just not good enough yet to do it, but you should keep trying. I think that energy really mobilized my life in ways that I only understand now, and just completely changed my perspective on the point of music, honestly, and the point of making things that connects with people in a way that's not too cool to, you know, to really connect. So thank you, EJ, for that on me. Really was.
Talk about writing, you know, Golden, because I think when you were writing it at the time, you didn't think you'd be singing that A5 note and those notes were.
At that time I did, yeah.
Okay.
What's wrong with me, right?
But you kept it in though.
Well, that one specifically, Maggie K, our director, she wanted the high note. That was all like, you know, in the guideline of what we would write in that scene. So the directors would like be like, oh, this scene needs to introduce the characters, their problems, and it's the I Want song, so what do each characters want? And also they asked for a melodic hook going up and hitting superhuman notes. And I have to say, yay. So yeah, and so it was actually very convenient though that I was a singer and knowing that, because I would have to test out certain words, because in singing, what words you use makes a whole difference in how you can sing it. But yeah, sorry, the question was like, sorry.
It was just like, you know, you kept that note in, but like, how did you actually crack Golden?
Oh, well, you know, it was truly teamwork. It was, again, usually as a songwriter, you're in the room with, you know, the writers and the artists, but with this, it was with the directors, with the producers, with, you know, our incredible executive music producer, Ian Eisendrath. He really was super important in gluing everything together. My co-writer, Mark Sonnenblick, and like, obviously the track, shout out Mark Sonnenblick, it's great. And the track was produced by, you know, Black Label, IDEO, 24 and Teddy, so it was just, it was the last song we wrote, and I just remember, I think we had dinner the other day, and we all like said it together. It was just something in the air, the synergy was like perfect. You know, I remember when, you know, I heard the track was just so good. I think Maggie told me that she cried the moment she heard the track. It was like, that's the one. When I heard it, I was like, this is the one. Like, I think out of all the tracks I ever seen, I was like, it was my favorite. And that's why the melody came out so fast. It came out in the taxi, you know, on the way to the dentist. And like, I just had to put it down. So like, when the voicemail went on, I was very excited to finish it with my co-writer, Mark Sonnenblick. And I remember just like, finishing the song and just looking at each other on Zoom and just like, yo, smash. Like, to us. And I remember after that, I had a session to sing Free, and you know, the directors and everyone was in Korea at the time. And I remember going to the studio and I was like, Maggie, Chris, I think you're gonna like this song. And I was like, hyping it up. And yeah, they responded, and apparently it was a great response and everyone loved it. So it was different. It was definitely different when we finished Golden.
What a tune, and we're so grateful for it. So, from what I understand, none of you were in the recording booths together when you were recording the voices or the singing. You met for the first time at the premiere. This is, talk about that.
Kind of. I mean, so I had met Arden and May before we started working on the film, just kind of separately. The Asian American entertainment community is very small. But then I didn't meet the three singers until actually long after the movie came out. We were all at the premiere and actually just like never ended up meeting each other there. So
We met at a separate movie.
at a different movie.
After the premiere, after our premiere.
And then I think I really actually got to like meet you, EJAE, and Audrey, I think in like December.
Yeah, similar, because I met EJ for a photo at the premiere. It was like literally 2 seconds, and then we were taken apart for press. And then I feel like I met like Ray and Audrey through DM. Like, wait, you were there too? You were there too? And it was just like,
Yeah, I was too scared to approach Jiyoung.
No one told me the singers were at the premiere. So
She's in her photo. And I was
I
like,
literally said, oh no, after 2. I said, what? Why didn't we all get to
Audrey and I.
We met. We
Yes, you
like
two
locked
met.
eyes across the room. We're like the mirror connection. Is
Very powerful, magnetic.
That does seem very appropriate. Yeah, but when we recorded the voices too, I didn't hear the music, and I didn't get to hear EJ's voice till I think the movie was like 80 or 90% completion. Right, so it was like just trusting Maggie and Chris and trusting their vision. And yeah, now I understand why when we'd record, they'd always have me pitch my voice a little lower. And I wonder if it's to match your singing voice.
Well, I think they always wanted Rumi's character to have a lower voice. I remember Maggie mentioned that. So, but yeah, it was really cool because I saw all the actors at the premiere. But I remember I would meet, Audrey and Ray separately though at the studio. We would like cross paths if our sessions were next to each other, and I was like, honestly, like they're like exactly like their characters. Audrey and I knew each other since when she was like 15. And I remember the first session we had it in Korea with your pink backpack.
she always talks about this pink
That was
backpack.
the best first impression. And we
Yeah.
wrote a gospel song, guys.
It's crazy. It's crazy when you like meet people, and I've known Ray too for a long time. And it is crazy. The community of I think Asian American people and Korean Americans especially doing it is really small, and it's very supportive. Honestly, I would say like everyone is looking out for each other, and I think with EJ, it's like it's weird when you meet someone and then you don't know how big of a part of your life they're gonna be in the future. Like life is so weird like that.
Like at the premiere, we were like, okay, well, I hope to see you sometime.
We all love. We're like, this was really nice. Hopefully, we'll cross paths in the future.
and then 1 month later, we're thrown into the abyss.
Yeah.
Chaos.
The whole point of that is just to be like, it's such a great testament to the animators, to Maggie and Chris, and the incredible work that they did, because nobody knew that you weren't together, recording this. So shout out to Maggie and Chris.
Maggie and Chris are pretty good voice actors themselves. Because I remember with the earliest sessions, they would do Mira and Zoe. And it would sort of help build the vibes, Because voice acting can be kind of awkward and embarrassing when you're just doing your lines by yourself in a very big studio with everybody staring at you in the corner. So yeah.
I remember that when we watched like some of the screenings, it was Maggie's voice, and she would do Zoe's voice, and Zoe's voice was always like, ah, and the mirror's like, no, no, no. Like, she would do all that.
great Zoe. She really does. Max can do a very good Zoe, and Chris can do a very good Nuna. But I do think it is pretty incredible. Like I don't know how it was for the singers, but as actors, you're always entering these projects midstream, and so especially in animation, these things are developed for years and years and years. So you're getting to see all their concept art and the storyboarding and the scratch dialogue that we're all talking about, where Chris and Maggie recorded everybody's dialogue to help the animators time the sequencing of all the shots. And you get to take all these ingredients and pieces from all these hundreds of people who have known and lived with your character longer than you have and understand the character as well, if not better than you do, and then you produce all these performance options for them to go back in and create this whole piece out of. And it feels even more collaborative that two people played each role, because there's all these different versions and takes on Zoe that end up coming together to this fully realized human on an animated screen. It's amazing.
Love that. Speaking of voice acting, Arden is actually nominated for an Annie. We're talking about demons and the impact of this film. How has the success of this film, of the song, given you confidence in who you are today? Gia, let's start. Gia.
was thinking about this. I said it at the premiere, but I think a lot of the time the bravest thing you can do is be yourself. And I'm always, whenever I watch the movie, I'm very struck by how the animators paid so much attention to Zoe, and her eyes are kind of flitting back and forth between Rumi and Mira. She's always trying to figure out the exact level of herself that's going to be acceptable for the world around her. And I think the beautiful part of her journey is that although she's thought that she's maybe too American for Korea, too Korean for America, too much, not enough, that line, it's her coming from both backgrounds and her being a product of diaspora that makes her beautiful and that makes her so special. And I also would argue that it's what makes this movie so special. So I think the journey of this movie about your vulnerabilities making you who you are and making you strong and making you special has been really healing for everybody, because we've always, at some point in our lives, we all have experienced being told to be ashamed of parts of ourselves.
How do I feel about that? Okay.
Yeah.
Zoe squared, so to piggyback on what you said, Gio, I wholeheartedly agree. I think, one, there's nothing braver than being yourself. I think oftentimes when we tell ourselves to minimize ourselves and shrink ourselves, it's out of shame. And it's in a way to kind of hide and protect ourselves and not be seen for who we are, because sometimes being seen for who you are is really scary. And so I think with Zoe, oh my god, my brain is rambling. So many thoughts. I think sometimes when we do, however, when we are vulnerable, it does kind of shed a light on ourselves, and it's oftentimes a light that the world needs. It's scary, but being that light, which I personally did not want the responsibility of providing that light, but sometimes you, on accident, become that light and that source of inspiration and motivation for a lot of people, which makes you feel a lot less alone in this world. It makes your flaws seem a little less rare, or like, I don't know, like, oh, it's all only you, it's only you, that's, you know. It just makes you feel more human. I think this entire process has made me embrace my human side, all the flaws, all the strengths, all the scaries, all the happiness, all the craziness, but that's what makes life so special and unique, and so you, and that's what makes it your life, your story. So yeah, embrace it, be proud of it, you never know, your story's not done. Natasha Petty said, it is unwritten. Remember that. So stay writing, don't put the pen down.
Love it. I think that I have had long moments of kind of, or I don't know, I would say generally, as I get older, this has changed like a little bit, but I would say, I don't know, when I was younger, I think I was more cynical than I am now. And I feel like actually when I first like signed with an agent, they were like, what kind of projects do you want to be in? Like, what kind of things do you want to work on? And it's just like, all of those things, all of the things that I could think of that I liked were so not for me and could never be for me and were never going to be for anyone that looks like us. And so it felt like some kind of like a tease or like a shitty game of like, do you wish you were in something that no one would cast you for? And I feel like after, like, this project has kind of like opened me up and like cracked me open, where it's like, yeah, like daring to dream and daring to think about things that I could be a part of in the future, because if this can be this successful, I don't know, it's like there's hope for all of us. It really is like, this is the most meta movie of all time. For the music to reach the levels that it does in the movie, like it's like, literally Maggie and Chris wrote the future, and it's scary. You should ask them for advice for like other stuff. Yeah, so it's definitely cracked me open, and I feel like it's kind of given me a lot of, I don't know, just general positivity. Yeah.
here because I fully like resonate with everything that you said, and I just feel like it feels good to be number one. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. It feels good, and every person on this stage, I think we've all experienced what it's like to feel like, what is my place in this industry, in this world, in this project? And you know, I think a lot of times we really did, I think we were programmed to really set ourselves up for the spaces that we can fit into. And I think that this movie just freaking obliterating the roof off of literally every record that you didn't even know existed, you know? And all of a sudden we find ourselves, you know, in some way, shape, and form at the center of culture this year, honestly, in a way of representation and alongside so many other amazing projects, you know. But I do think this was such a shift, it felt like, and I think that goes for us also understanding that yes, we are main characters, you know, and anyone who comes from any background can be a main character, and we don't have to settle for this, what is it? The supporting role number 3 in the one scene on the 75th, you know, whatever take of the movie. Well, you know what I mean. Like, I think we don't have to settle. It's kind of the message here. And I just think going back to another circle back of the thing you said about your inner child feeling hugged. It's like we also grew up, whether it was in school or wherever it was, feeling that way too. I think very secondary sometimes. And yeah, it just really does feel like the world went from like black and white to color in that regard. And I think about all the kids who also see this film and don't have to feel the way that we felt. It's like that is the biggest honor and the thing that brings the most joy for all of us, I would say.
Can we also be Mirror Squared?
Mirror Cube, let's go.
Okay, Mirror Cube. No, I feel like I relate so much to all of that. And you know, I came into this project at a point in my career where I was very exhausted. And this movie hit #1 on August 26th, exactly 3 years after my last show where I was was canceled. And you know, like Audrey said, so often we don't feel like we can be the main character, or that we can be the lead, and like May said. You know, I think I always wanted to be these characters that, yeah, probably not going to get casted for. And then as I was getting older, you know, I've been in this business 20+ years. I'm like way older than, I'm like almost 20 years, Audrey. Yeah, don't look it. But you start being kind of mean to yourself and like almost stopping yourself, being like, I never thought that could be for me. I was so happy to audition for Celine, and I was happy with just that. I probably would have been happy just to be a part of a movie like this because I love animation, and you know, I would have dreamed of a movie like this when I was a kid. But then to see where we've come, I mean, this is very meta. And I feel like this movie is so beyond all of us, and it's like, just to be able to be a part of it, I feel like I've sort of kind of gotten this like resurgent of energy and hope, and I'm like a dreamer now, and I also feel like I'm like 15 years younger. I feel like this movie has made me have hope in this business again and reminded me why I love movies and how this all makes me feel. And again, I love that our movie makes people feel good, regardless of your age or your gender or where you're from or your story. I feel like everyone finds something that they relate to, and you know, it's like this movie, and even us just talking about it, hearing all of you ladies share, like everything makes me just want to cry, because I'm like, it's all so beautiful, and it's like, it reminds me of the scene when all the girls are in the hot tub and they're just like, yeah. And it's like, I feel like that's just been us constantly, right? I mean, you're sharing new highs even today in this moment, and I just feel like, what an incredible opportunity. I'm just so forever grateful.
change them. It's very inspiring, to be honest. Because, like, yeah, I just think the reason why this movie resonated with so many people is because every single person I think who was part of this film was pouring their true hearts into it. And, you know, it's really cool, like, how this movie truly has layers. The concept of having two sides, whether it be Kpop Demon Hunters, or your demon side, your good side, or, you know, the song Golden being non-diegetic and diegetic, like, sorry, like, that's just a thing that's cool. But also just, like, you know, being Korean and American. And I think this movie, for me, you know, I worked on it 4 or 5 years ago. I truly grew as a songwriter, as a person, as a Korean woman, while writing this and being a part of this film. It challenged me a lot in writing, in singing, and just like really had to make me dig deep in my Korean side. So yeah, I think, you know, it's really weird because this film, not only just watching it, but in the creation of it was a very, very healing journey for me. You know, I was dropped as a K-pop trainee as a kid, and, you know, heard a lot of things about my singing voice, you know, to be honest. You know, saying that it was too low or kind of ugly. So while writing the songs, you know, I was very ashamed of me being dropped as a K-pop trainee, and, you know, sorry, I keep saying, you know. And this movie kind of allowed me to embrace that side, actually. It was actually a superpower. That hurt that I had and the pain that I went through kind of helped me write the songs. You know, my experiences in K-pop training helped in writing some of the concept of songs like Your Idol, or even with Golden, like, when we wrote it, like, it really helped me accept my voice and challenged me to sing and to be confident and to be able to sing those high notes. So, you know, I just think this movie saved me, to be honest. And, sorry, ugh.
We see you, EJ.
Yeah, and so even I was very ashamed of my singing voice, and I was very nervous at the premiere to hear it in big speakers for the first time, and to see so many people loving the music and our voices and our singing voices and our acting voices too, and it's just so beautiful, and I feel so accepted. So thank you to the fans so much.
Selves a warm hug and be like, you're number one today. You are here. You've made history. You're continuing to make history. Thank you so much for that incredible